What is up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and today I'm going to be talking about an audiobook that I recently recorded for my favorite author of all time, Janny Wurts. So this is not the audiobook. So the book I narrated for Janny is The Gallant, which is a novella that precedes her Wars of Light and Shadow series. It takes place about 500 years before Curse of the Mistwraith Book 1. It's kind of, if you're familiar with Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, it's kind of like the Fall situation. You can read, you could read A Blood and Fire or The Fall first. Here you can read Curse of the Mistwraith or The Gallant first. Now, the way that this came about is I did a review for Curse of the Mistwraith. It was the first video on my channel. I had maybe 10 subscribers, and apparently Janny saw this. She got into contact with a mutual friend of me and hers, Jake from Nerd Level Rising, got my email, or actually asked Jake to give me her email, to send her an email. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe she wants to be on the channel. She asks me if I would be willing to narrate what was already like my favorite novella of all time. And when you get asked to do something like that, the immediate yes, and she paid me for the project. Starting out, I didn't want to get paid all that much because I don't really have experience in this, but she was kind enough to help me out, pay for the equipment to get everything started. And she's been very patient and very encouraging throughout the whole process. I'll record a chapter, send it to her, get her notes, and then just fine tune some things. And then by the end of all of it, send her a flash drive, had her look it over. I used Reaper as my DAW, and I have my closet is kind of been turned into a little mini recording studio. So I go in there, I record. So usually I'll read a chapter, and then I'll record the chapter. And then I just go back and sometimes I'm saying the lines 2, 3, 4, 5 times, just to get the best possible recording that I can. And yeah, so this will be releasing on Thursday, September 4th, I believe. Yeah, Thursday, September 4th. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the first little section called Assassins. This is from the first chapter, the very, very first bit of information you get in The Gallant, and it's going to be spoilers free. And in this scene, you have one character who is hiring a guild assassin to eliminate another character. Now, we don't know if this character was coerced or if he has personal reasons to be there, but yeah, guys, hope you enjoy. As arranged, the meeting took place in the squalid gloom of the waterfront alley behind the fish market. The League assassin, cloaked in anonymous black, took cool stock of the nervous client. He heard the name whispered into his ear, then smiled with measured amusement. "Varaine," he repeated, well aware of the victim just targeted by Coriathaean. "That fancy sentient sprig who can't keep his prowess buttoned into his breeches." "You know him?" Nose muffled behind the expensive handkerchief that also did nothing to mask his styled court speech, the young man ran on in effusive relief. "But of course, his rake's reputation is scarcely a secret. We know everyone, puppy." The League representative chuckled with acid contempt. "Cowering behind that fool facecloth can't hide you. No? Suit yourself." Through the off-key quaver of a drunk sail hand singing, racketing up from the dockside, he added, "Half the whores in the district would sell your name for the chance of a coin they can hide from their pimps. But that's obvious, stripling. Nobody sane wears embroidered silk stockings splashing about in this midden." "That's cocksure bluster." But the harried glance the client flicked over his shoulder made certain the warbling drunk staggered off without peering into the shadowed alley. "Your kind don't dare shop their hires in the taverns." "Maybe not yet." The League man's soft laughter mocked. Times were changing, the explosive balance of power shoved to the trembling brink. These days, he did his bargaining barefaced, while petitioners who wanted a mark taken down made their slinking approach incognito. If our league didn't keep a toehold in society, our discreet services would be of little use when you great folk need us." The client stiffened, offended no doubt. Dashingly young and certainly scared, he had no choice but to brazen his way through the underhand purpose that had brought him. "I won't stint your fee. If you're capable, let's have this over with." "Terms first!" snapped the league man, annoyed to be rushed. "Do you seek a death contract? A bully strong arm to intimidate? Or something else? Let's be precise." Secrecy might shroud the particulars behind this bravo's predicament, but a wider unrest caused the incident. The Fellowship sorcerers had packed off the cream of its crown strength to tame some uncanny crisis in West Shand. The King's Guard left behind in the wake of the problem now had its gauntleted hands full. Every contentious faction in Inish muscled to snatch for advantage. Tempers are short, and shifting alliances have everyone edging their knives on both sides. I have to know just what unsavory business you're jingling your wallet to buy. The stiff silence signaled the crux where negotiations often unraveled. The breeze, thick with storm, combed the sour reek of sea wrack through the factors' shacks lining the waterfront. The fretful wail of a child in the shouting fights crammed into the ramshackled tenements would remind the pampered client of the sordid depths to which he had strayed. Self-disgust might move him to straighten his spine. He could shoulder the honest consequence of his misplayed dilemma, or else cave into embittered victimhood. The League man looked on with cynical eyes. This boy's struggle would be short. The Order of the Coriathian had sent him. Their arcane practice would have taken the measure of his moral weakness. Whether he sold himself out for a family misfortune, or a gambling debt, or the misstep of youthful exuberance, he dared not flinch now. The initiate sister who held his sworn debt scarcely cared how he sweated. Her order's ironclad terms would be met. When trading for power, the witch's bargains were merciless. All right, so that was section 1, Assassins, that I am going to share with y'all. I've got one other sneak peek. If you want to go in with no spoilers, you can find it on her Paravia website. I will link it down below, and it'll be $3. You can download the MP3 file. And if you want to wait around until later, I have another section that I'll be showing y'all a sneak peek of. This story, I was able to embody the characters of Varain and Lysia, and these are characters that I was already fond of prior to recording the book. But Janny Wurts, her prose style is not something where you're going to get everything the first time. You'll understand the plot. It's not as hard as some people make it out to be, her prose style. There are certain layers of it that I didn't get until I was recording it. Because, you know, when you're reading, you get wrapped up in the flow of the prose and you get carried along. There's a momentum to it. But as a narrator, you can't really do that. Because if you don't fully understand what's being said, then your performance just won't deliver because you don't fully understand what is being said here. So it's given me a lot of respect for people like Colin Mace, who does the main series, and people who, the narrator for Malazan, the narrator for all these, complex, very intelligent, transcendental works that, these works are not something, they're not written to be easily understood at first sight. All the information you need in the Gallant and in Curse of the Mistwraith, it's there. But there's even deeper layers that you will uncover the more you read it. And I felt like to give a good performance, you need to understand more than just what a passive reader will understand and will take from it. Now, you have works that you can understand everything just reading it passively, and a lot of those don't lend themselves to rereads. This is another type of story. So the rereading experience to actually record it was very fulfilling because I was catching things that I had not expected before. And oh man, guys, this is just such a absolute dream come true. This to me was a bigger milestone than hitting 1,000 subscribers. It was a bigger milestone than, damn near anything. This and being on an episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy are two of my biggest, most humbling experiences. Being added to the Book Street Boys Discorder, Discord that Preacher Reads run. That's another one that was just like, what? So it's a lot of the times for me, it is the connections I've made and the projects I have been privileged enough to be a part of that stick out to me, not how many subscribers. Not that I'm not grateful for the 1,000 subscribers. That's awesome, but it's not everything. It's just been an absolute blast voicing these characters. I do hope to return for Janny Wurts' sequel novella to voice more of Varain, but you never know what'll happen. There's this, audio rights could be bought up by a publisher, and they may want to put their own narrator on it. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I thoroughly enjoyed voicing this character, and I hope to do so again. And if you want to listen to it, you can download it at paravia.com. You can reach me at my new email that I will link in my bio. You can reach me on Instagram. You can reach me on, you can just comment on any one of my videos. If you listen to the Gallant and you enjoy it and you want to let me know, or maybe if you have some criticisms, just let me know. I'm always wanting to open that line of communication, and I really hope that this story about two people who love each other, who are faced with immense hardship, I'm hoping that it will resonate with you guys, and that you'll find something to enjoy about it. And so I'm going to show you the second section, which is the challenge. The downpour hammered the port town of Inish under snarling thunder and a frenetic tantrum of lightning. Perhaps a harbinger of the storm yet to come, its brief violence scoured the sultry air. Far removed from the squalid wood balconies lining the waterfront, uphill from the raucous shrieks of the dockside bawds and the outbreaks of drunken laughter, the genteel district of Inish also glittered with lights. Candles shimmered off the rondels of the opened windows and splashed wax to the swing of glass-paned lamps above the wet marble arch of the carriageway. There, the darling adored by the king's court emerged, brightly talking and flushed from the dance floor. Varain Sendient did not have brute strength. His athletic fitness was not the impressive stature that captured applause on the practice field. Instead, he had verve, a quick mind, and fair-haired good looks, solid enough attributes that took second place to the sterling grace of his kindness. He wore neat clothes with his usual flair, his topaz studs offset by a tailored white shirt and dark blue breeches that complemented his blonde hair. Varain left the palace ballroom that hour, clutching his ribs and gasping with mirth at somebody's giddy choke. Too ebullient to imagine he might have attracted anyone's deadly enmity. He returned the quip, wary of nothing beyond the predictable angst aimed his way by a jilted lover. Certainly this night's choice of partner was unlikely to see him entangled in cutthroat male rivalry. She did not wear jewels and avoided perfume, adverse as she was to the discomfort of drawing men's eyes, then bearing the quick dismissal as they removed their attention. Ungracefully large, rendered hopelessly awkward by the dapper charm exuded by her companion, she proved spitefully easy to insult, her connection to lineage not quite close enough to offset her square jaw and myopic blink. Lysiane held no illusions. Tucked into the fashion of frilled gauze and ribbons, her bony elbows and broad hips made her strapping frame appear ludicrous. Normally, she sought her contentment in solitude, curled up with her marmalade cat and a book. Ath above, Varain, are you planning a waltz with that heifer in bed? Huge hands like hers ought to be on a farm pumping the teats of a milch cow. Stupid, she was not. As the slang froze the laughter off Varain's face and the shocked silence broke into murmurs from the appalled onlookers, Lysiane sized up the attack. An unprovoked spite from a sentient relative that was strikingly out of character. Quick enough in a crisis, she was first to respond. Varain, I beg you, find out who pressured your flip-brained cousin to say that. Varain touched her lips silent. His steady brown eyes refused sympathy. Too late, Lysia, he rebuked gently. I don't suffer fools, no matter if they are kin. There's no excuse for boorish behavior. My sweet, forget compromise. Your matchless heart by itself should make any man thankful to bask in your company. He kissed her fingers, ever the debonair Gallant, with his collar and satin laces left artfully loose in the heat. He repeated a seamless twirl from the dance floor that spun her behind him. The protective hand cupped at her waist invited her leaning support. He had noticed the failure of her brave poise. The skirt of her ball gown, pressed into his calf, transmitted her trembling humiliation. The intimacy of her pain torched his blood, while his dark glance fixed on the importunate cousin who had ruptured a lifetime of trust. Alright guys, if you want to see what happens to Varaine and Lysia and how they are able to combat these challenges, these unforeseen trials coming their way, then you're going to have to download The Gallant by Janny Wurts on Paravia.com. Peace.